First contact and mockery. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at attention in the pristine chamber of the Galactic Federation's Grand Assembly, her dress uniform pristine despite the sweat threatening to break through her composed exterior. Behind her, a display case contained Earth's most advanced military hardware, from tactical railguns to experimental plasma-kinetic hybrid weapons. The Federation Council members floated on their anti-gravity platforms, their bioluminescent bodies pulsing with what she interpreted as amusement. High Counselor Zix-427, a being composed of crystalline structures and flowing energy, drifted forward. Admiral Chen. The translation field conveyed their words with a hint of condescension. Surely this is some form of primitive cultural display. These cannot be your actual military armaments. The laughter that followed echoed through the chamber. Chen noticed how the Federation representatives' personal shields shimmed with prismatic energy. Technology they claimed made them invulnerable to primitive weapons. I assure you, High Counselor, these represent Earth's current military capabilities. Chen replied diplomatically. She had spent months preparing for this meeting, studying every scrap of intel about the Federation's technology. More importantly, she'd noticed what they hadn't developed. A serpentine delegate slithered forward, their cybernetic enhancements gleaming. Observe, they activated a holographic display showing Federation weaponry, pure energy weapons, quantum disruptors, and consciousness-altering fields. This is real military technology. Your projectile weapons belong in a museum. Chen watched carefully as they demonstrated their shields against energy weapons. The barriers were impressive, dispersing massive amounts of power harmlessly. But she'd noticed something crucial. Small pieces of space debris passed right through them. The Federation extends its protection to Earth, High Counselor Zix-427 announced. You will, of course, need to surrender all military authority and accept our guidance. Primitive species require supervision. And if we decline? Chen asked quietly. The chamber's temperature dropped several degrees. That would be most unwise. The Federation's protection is not optional. You have 30 solar cycles to comply. As Chen's team was escorted out, she activated her quantum-encrypted communicator. Control, this is Chen. Confirm Operation Silent Thunder is go. They took the bait completely. Back on Earth, in the Himalayan Command Center buried deep within the mountains, General Marcus Wong received Chen's transmission. He turned to the holographic display showing Earth's real military preparations. Hidden shipyards across the solar system were putting the finishing touches on humanity's true fleet. Vessels that combined centuries of kinetic weapon expertise with reversed engineered alien tech. The Federation had forgotten the basic laws of physics in their rush to develop energy weapons. They'd forgotten that sometimes the simplest solution was the most effective. Send word to all commands, Wong ordered. Begin Phase 2. The Federation thinks they're coming to collect a primitive species. Instead, they're walking into the biggest trap in galactic history. In her quarters aboard the Federation diplomatic vessel, Chen smiled as she reviewed the real data from Earth's weapon tests. The Federation's shields were great at stopping energy weapons, but they had a fatal flaw. They couldn't stop good old-fashioned tungsten rods moving at relativistic speeds. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways, and humanity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating primitive species. The silent preparation. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Maya Patel watched through reinforced windows as robotic arms assembled what appeared to be an ancient naval cannon. But appearances were deceiving. The primitive weapon house technology that would make Federation scientists weep with envy. Status report. She called out to her team scattered across the vast underwater facility designated Deep Harbor Alpha. Quantum targeting systems integrated successfully, her lead engineer reported. The Federation won't detect anything unusual until it's too late. Their scanning technology only looks for energy signatures they consider advanced. Maya smiled. The Federation's arrogance was their greatest weakness. They'd stopped looking for primitive threats millennia ago. Their entire defense doctrine was built around energy weapons and exotic particle games. "Show me the test results from yesterday," she ordered. The holographic display filled with data from their latest weapons trial. They'd recovered a Federation shield generator from a accidentally crashed scout ship. The aliens had been so confident in their technology that they hadn't even bothered to destroy it before abandoning their vessel. The video showed a simple steel rod, accelerated to near-light speed, passing through the Federation's impenetrable shield like it wasn't there. Physics was physics, no matter how advanced you thought you were. In orbit, hidden beneath holographic camouflage, Fleet Captain David Okonjo supervised the transformation of Earth's Space Force. Old satellites were being converted into weapon platforms, disguised as space debris. The Federation's sensors would ignore them completely. "Sir," his XO reported, "Lunar Base reports the last batch of ships is ready. We've masked their signatures to look like mining vessels." Okonjo nodded. The Federation would expect to find a primitive civilization with barely functional spacecraft. Instead, they'd find a fleet of ships combining Earth's centuries of experience with kinetic weapons and carefully reverse-engineered alien tech. "How are the crews adapting to the new systems?" he asked. "Better than expected, sir. Turns out playing video games for generations was excellent training for our hybrid targeting systems." In Washington, Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and other capitals, Earth's leaders met in secure bunkers, coordinating the greatest military deception in human history. For the first time, humanity stood truly united against an external threat. The Federation's ultimatum expires in 15 days. Admiral Chen's hologram reported to the assembled leaders. "Their invasion fleet is gathering at the edge of our solar system. Long-range scans show they're bringing enough firepower to subjugate a dozen worlds. And they still suspect nothing?" President Mbeki of the African Union asked. "Nothing," Chen confirmed. "Their cultural database lists humans as primitive but tractable. They expect us to either surrender immediately or mount a token resistance with our obsolete weapons." In orbit around Mars, hidden shipyards worked at full capacity. The ships they produced looked crude from the outside. Deliberate design choices to reinforce the Federation's prejudices. Inside, they housed technology that represented humanity's greatest achievement: the perfect fusion of primitive kinetic weapons with cutting-edge innovation. Dr. Patel's voice came over the secure channel. "The last batch of hybrid weapons is ready for deployment. We've masked their power signatures completely. As far as Federation sensors are concerned, they're simple metal tubes." Back in Deep Harbor Alpha, Maya watched the final assembly of their secret weapon. The Federation thought humanity was stuck in the age of chemical propellants and gunpowder. They'd forgotten that humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of throwing very heavy objects very fast. "Begin final distribution," she ordered. "Remember, everything must look primitive and unthreatening until the exact moment we strike." In his command center, General Wong reviewed the latest intelligence. The Federation's invasion fleet was even larger than expected. Their overconfidence was almost painful to observe. They hadn't even bothered to encrypt their communications properly, assuming primitives couldn't possibly intercept them. "Let them come," he muttered. "Let them bring their energy weapons and quantum shields. They're about to learn why humanity never abandoned kinetic weapons. Sometimes the oldest solutions are still the best." As Earth's defenders waited in secret, a message spread through secure channels. "Remember Thermopylae. Remember the Trojan horse. History teaches us that pride blinds the mighty to simple truths. The Federation thinks they're gods coming to enlighten savages. Instead, they're walking into humanity's finest hour." The countdown to Operation Silent Thunder continued, and humanity prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating primitive species. Operation Thunderstrike. The Federation flagship, Eternal Radiance, emerged from hyperspace at the head of the largest invasion fleet seen in a millennium. High Commander Vex 892 stood on his command platform, his crystalline form pulsing with anticipation as Earth came into view. "Status of the primitive defense forces," he asked, almost bored. Scattered and disorganized, Commander. Their orbital platforms appear to be mostly civilian satellites and mining equipment. We detect approximately 50 spacecraft, all using primitive chemical propulsion. Vex 892 pulsed with amusement. Send the final warning. Let's see if these humans are wise enough to surrender. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, General Wong watched the Federation fleet's arrival on quantum-encrypted displays. Over 5,000 ships, their energy shields creating a spectacular light show in Earth's orbit, all of them completely blind to what awaited them. All units, Operation Thunderstrike is go. Execute on my mark. Around Earth, disguised weapon platforms that the Federation had dismissed as space debris powered up. On the dark side of the moon, humanity's real fleet waited, in deep underwater bases and underground bunkers, targeting computers locked onto the Federation vessels. This is Admiral Chen to all Earth forces. Remember your training. The enemy expects primitives with basic weapons. Let's show them how primitive we can be. Vex 892 was about to issue the order to begin planetary subjugation when his sensor officer called out in alarm. Commander, multiple launches detected from the planet's surface. Their primitive missiles are no threat to our shields, Vex 892 started to say, but stopped as his tactical display erupted with warnings. What appeared to be simple chemical rockets suddenly shed their outer shells, revealing sophisticated kinetic kill vehicles. Federation shields, calibrated to stop energy weapons, might as well have been tissue paper against tungsten rods moving at relativistic speeds. Impossible. Vex 892 screamed as the first wave of impacts began. Federation ships began shattering like glass sculptures. Their mighty shields, designed to disperse energy attacks, did nothing against solid projectiles moving at near-light speed. Launch fighters, he ordered. Return fire with all weapons. But the fighters faced their own surprise. What they'd dismissed as primitive satellites revealed themselves to be automated defense platforms. Simple railguns, enhanced with reversed-engineered Federation technology, filled space with hypervelocity projectiles. From the dark side of the moon, Earth's mining ships revealed their true nature. Their crude exterior panels dropped away, showing sleek warships that combined centuries of human military innovation with carefully stolen alien tech. This is Captain Okonjo to all ships. Execute attack pattern Sierra. Show them why humanity never stopped improving our primitive weapons. The Federation fleet found itself caught in a devastating crossfire. Their energy weapons were fearsome but required precise targeting. Earth's ships fired clouds of self-guided kinetic penetrators, simple pieces of metal accelerated to terrifying speeds, each one capable of punching through multiple Federation vessels. In his command center, General Wong watched the battle unfold. The Federation's mighty armada was being systematically torn apart by weapons they'd laughed at just months ago. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the enemy is attempting to retreat. Their formation is breaking up. Signal all commands, Wong ordered. Execute Phase 2. Don't let them escape to warn the others. Hidden weapons platforms around the solar system's outer planets activated. Jump points used by the Federation ships became killing zones as more kinetic weapons waited for them. Aboard the crumbling Eternal Radiance, Vex 892 watched in horror as his fleet died to primitive weapons. His ship's quantum AI ran scenarios, trying to understand how they'd been so completely outmaneuvered. Commander, his science officer's voice shook. Analysis suggests the humans never stopped developing kinetic weapons. While we focused entirely on energy technology, they perfected the basic principles of physics. They're not primitive, they simply took a different path. The realization came too late. A spread of relativistic projectiles from Earth's lunar fleet struck the Eternal Radiance. The mighty flagship, pride of the Federation Navy, split apart like an overripe fruit. As the battle ended, Admiral Chen sent a message to all Earth forces. Phase 1 complete. Stand by for Phase 2. The Federation thought they were coming to subjugate primitives. Instead, they've awakened humanity's full potential, and we're just getting started. The tables turn. News of Earth's victory spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. On 1,000 worlds, subjugated species watched leaked footage of the mighty Federation fleet being destroyed by primitive weapons. Hope, long suppressed, began to stir. In the Centauri sector, Dr. Maya Patel stood before representatives from 20 formerly enslaved species. The meeting took place in an abandoned asteroid base, far from Federation sensors. The secret isn't advanced technology, she explained, displaying schematics of Earth's hybrid weapons. It's remembering that the fundamental laws of physics never stopped working. The Federation became so focused on energy weapons that they forgot the basics. Around the room, beings of various forms and evolutionary paths watched intently. Many had lived under Federation protection for centuries, their own military development strictly controlled. We're not here to replace the Federation as overlords, Maya continued. We're here to share knowledge, to help you defend yourselves. On the edge of Federation space, Captain Okonjo's task force struck another peacekeeping fleet. The Federation ships, their commanders still unable to believe that primitives could threaten them, died just as quickly as the first fleet. Multiple Federation outposts are going dark, his tactical officer reported. The subjugated worlds are rising up. They're using our weapon designs, sir. Simple kinetic systems that the Federation's sensors don't even register as threats. In the Federation's Grand Assembly, panic reigned. The crystalline forms of the High Counselors pulsed with agitation as reports flooded in. Their perfect order was crumbling. How can this be happening? High Counselor Zix-427 demanded. They're primitives. Their weapons are obsolete. A junior scientist, braver than most, spoke up. That's precisely why we failed, Honored One. We became so convinced of our superiority that we stopped innovating. The humans never did. They took basic principles and perfected them while we stagnated behind our energy shields. On a dozen frontier worlds, Federation control centers fell to locally manufactured kinetic weapons. The designs, shared by Earth through encrypted quantum channels, were simple enough to be produced with minimal technology, but devastatingly effective against Federation defenses. Admiral Chen, now commanding Earth's First Fleet, received constant updates. The Proxima Centauri colonies have declared independence, her comm officer reported. The Federation garrison surrendered when the colonists demonstrated their new weapons. The Federation never understood, Chen mused. They thought protecting primitive species meant keeping them primitive. Instead, they created a galaxy full of potential allies who remembered what it meant to be oppressed. In hidden shipyards throughout human space, production continued at full speed. But now the ships and weapons weren't just for Earth's defense. Each vessel carried teachers, engineers, and scientists, ready to help other species reclaim their independence. General Wang, coordinating from Earth Command, watched the strategic display as more and more Federation systems went dark. Not from destruction, but from throwing off their oppressors. Sir, his aide reported, we're receiving requests for assistance from over 300 formerly Federation-controlled worlds. They want our help setting up their own defense forces. Send them everything they need, Wang ordered. The Federation spent millennia telling everyone they were primitive. Time to show them what primitives can do when they work together. On the Federation capital world, the last bastion of their fading empire, the High Council received an ultimatum. Not from Earth alone, but from a coalition of species they had long dismissed as primitive and powerless. Your choice is simple, Admiral Chen's hologram declared to the assembled council. Step down voluntarily and face justice for your crimes, or discover just how many other primitive weapons we've perfected while you weren't looking. As the Federation's power crumbled, a new galactic order began to emerge. Not one built on supposed technological superiority, but on cooperation and mutual respect. Earth's primitive revolution had sparked something far greater than just military victory. The Federation forgot the most primitive truth of all. Chen would later write in her memoirs, "The most dangerous weapon isn't the most advanced. It's the one your enemy doesn't think is a threat until it's too late." A New Dawn. 1 year after the fall of the Federation, the newly established Galactic Concordat held its first assembly. Unlike the floating platforms of the old Federation Council, representatives from over 1,000 species sat as equals in a vast circular chamber on neutral ground, a massive space station orbiting a binary star system. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's primary representative, watched with quiet satisfaction. The chamber buzzed with diverse languages, forms, and technologies. Former primitive species worked alongside the reformed remnants of the Federation, each contributing their unique perspectives and innovations. "The irony," Dr. Maya Patel remarked beside her, "is that we've advanced more in 1 year of cooperation than the Federation did in centuries of enforced stagnation." She was right. The combination of Earth's primitive innovation with various alien technologies had sparked a renaissance. The Concordat's first act had been to establish the principles of open innovation. No technology could be declared too primitive or too advanced for any species to study. In the station's massive research hub, teams of scientists from different worlds worked together. Federation energy shields were being combined with human kinetic weapon designs, creating hybrid defense systems far superior to either original technology. Former Federation engineers worked alongside humans, finally free to admit that their primitive approaches often offered elegant solutions. Admiral Captain Okonjo's hologram appeared at the conference table. The last Federation holdout in the Carina sector has surrendered. The liberation fleets are standing down. Chen nodded. The war was truly over, but the real challenge, building something better from the ashes, was just beginning. General Wang, leading Earth's new defense academy, had opened its doors to students from every species. The Federation's greatest mistake, he told the first graduating class, wasn't their technology. It was their belief that different meant inferior, that their path was the only path. In shipyards throughout Concordat space, vessels of mixed human and alien design took shape. They combined the best of all worlds. Federation energy weapons alongside refined kinetic systems, human tactical computers working with alien quantum processors. Each ship represented what could be achieved when species worked together instead of one dominating the others. Dr. Patel's Institute for Hybrid Technologies had become a symbol of this new era. Every species brings something valuable to the table, she explained to a group of visiting dignitaries. The Federation thought they had reached the pinnacle of evolution. They forgot that true advancement comes from diversity, from considering all approaches, no matter how primitive they might seem. In the Concordat's civilian sectors, cultural exchange flourished. Humans learned meditation techniques from crystalline beings, while former Federation citizens discovered the joy of primitive art forms. Foods, music, and ideas flowed freely between worlds. The Federation tried to make everyone the same. Chen addressed the assembly. They called it protection, but it was really about control. The Concordat exists to celebrate our differences, to learn from each other. Every species, no matter their technological level, has something to teach and something to learn. The old Federation capital world, once a symbol of oppression, had been transformed into the Concordat University of United Sciences. In its halls, primitive and advanced technologies were studied side by side, each informing the other. As the assembly concluded its first historic session, Shen stood at a viewport watching ships of various designs move through space. Some used antimatter drives, others simple fusion engines. Each represented a unique approach to the same challenges. "We thought we were fighting for Earth's independence," she said to Maya. "Instead, we ended up freeing half the galaxy and teaching everyone a valuable lesson," Maya added. "There's no such thing as primitive, only different paths to the same destination." The stars stretched out before them, no longer representing threats or boundaries, but endless possibilities. Humanity had not only survived its first major galactic crisis, it had helped forge a new future where no species would ever again be dismissed as primitive. The Federation's greatest fear, Chen wrote in the Concordat's founding document, was that primitive species might one day challenge them. In the end, it wasn't our weapons that defeated them. It was our ability to imagine a better way. Sometimes the most primitive instinct of all, the desire to be free, is the most powerful force in the universe.